Good evening. Today is Tuesday, December 15th, 2020. I am Heather Peffley, clerk for the City of Manistee. The City Council's December 15th, 2020 regular meeting being conducted remotely where all members of the City Council are in separate locations and not at the City Hall Council chambers will be called to order by Mayor Roger Zielinski shortly. As always, this meeting is being recorded and will be broadcast on Manistee TV cable channels 189 and 190 and available at manisteetv.org. City Council and City staff will have video and audio available for this meeting. Members of the public will be audio only. The microphones of all members of the City Council, the City Manager, City Attorney, and City Clerk will always be live unless there is an audio disruption. Mayor Zielinski, we are now ready to proceed with the meeting.
Thank you, Heather. We'll call the meeting to order and please take the roll.
Councilmember Bachman.
Here.
Councilmember Beaton.
Here.
Mayor Zielinski.
Here.
Councilmember Sipsick. Councilmember Sipsick. She is frozen. She's here, but it looks like she's frozen. I'll try to fix it. Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski.
Here.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Here.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac.
Here.
City Manager.
Here.
City Attorney.
Here.
Deputy Clerk.
Here.
City Assessor.
Here.
DPW Director.
Here.
Finance Director.
Here.
Police Chief.
Here.
Fire Chief.
Here.
City Engineer.
Here.
Roll call complete.
Thank you. Public hearings, we have none. Excuse me. Citizen comments on agenda-related items. Each person waiting in the virtual waiting room will be called individually by the city clerk by the last 4 digits of their telephone number. Individuals will be asked if they have a comment or if they are passing. It's very important that those giving comments have a good phone connection and no sound or noise in the background, or there will be a disruptive audio. If this issue cannot be corrected by the caller, we will move on to the next person in line. The topics for tonight are on the consent agenda: approval of minutes, payroll, invoices, consideration of ordinance 20-10 amending chapter 1060, garbage and rubbish collection and disposal, consideration of adopting MERS defined benefit plan adoption agreement addendums for each city MERS division, notification regarding next work session. Other agenda items are consideration of an annual audit committee report, presentation by Ken Talsma of Anderson Tackman on the June 30th, 2020 audit, consideration of establishing a 2021 poverty exemption guidelines for the new federal income guidelines as approved by the State Tax Commission, consideration of a pickup truck purchase, consideration of entering into a contract with Ostrander's Window Siding and Roofing and the Garland Company Incorporated for roofing repairs on several city buildings, consideration of entering into an interlocal agreement with Manistee County to designate the Manistee County Equalization Director as a county designated assessor. A report from the city manager. Tight lines for troops, we found out today, have canceled their 2021 event. With that, we'll take public comments, Heather.
Okay, just another addition to that. If you wish to make a comment, you can, if you're calling in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. That way I'll know you wish to make a comment. Once I unmute you, then you would hit *6 to unmute. If you're using the Zoom app, you would need to click on participants at the bottom of your screen, and then at the bottom right corner, click raise hand, and I will unmute you. Does anybody wish to make a comment? Yes, go ahead. Please state your name and address. Thomas O., please state your name and address.
Sorry about that. Thomas Oley, 376 6th Street. The current vice chair of the Manistee Parks Commission, and speaking for and in conjunction with Tim O'Connor, current chair of the Manistee Parks Commission tonight. Good evening, everyone, to all the elected council members, the city manager, all the essential and valuable city department lead, heads, and of course, the city employees. First and foremost, our commission sincerely wishes all of you and your collective families happy holidays in this very special and joyous time of the year. Tonight during this public comment, the Manistee Parks Commission is coming before council as a team of remarkable and diverse individuals who have volunteered their own personal time and real-world experiences to accomplish a common goal, that of working hand in hand with elected officials, the DPW, the Parks Department, all in bettering our local Manistee Park system, a true treasure and commodity of our small, quaint Midwestern town. Based on the city charter, the Parks Commission is only responsible for reporting to the City Council once per year on its achievements, ideas, and progress. And as a commission, we have found this to be lacking in our commitment to the city. And we promise tonight, at the very minimum, we will be reporting quarterly and will attempt to be in attendance during all future City Council meetings. For too long, the Parks Commission has somehow slowly slid into this nondescript, out of touch, out of bylaw compliance role in regards to what past city founders and the movers and shakers of this community had envisioned in the creation of this commission. That being a community-led commission focused on advising, putting forth its own ideas, supporting other ideas, raising funds for much needed park projects and improvements. And more importantly, being the motivating conduit to community volunteering and personal involvement in our local park system. As a quick example, we recently took action on a basic want and need idea conceptualized by the commission, Jeff McCool at DPW, and Mickey McCann at the Parks Department, of cleaning up years worth of destructive invasive species overgrowth and deadwood in the Lighthouse Park Street, First Street Beach area. If you drive down through that area, you'll see a bunch of piles of dead lumber and dead wood, and that's what volunteers have been doing over the course of the past week. We expect to keep going on that project once the weather cooperates with us, and we aim for some early spring cleanup in all the parks citywide. This is just the beginning to the collaboration and attention to the Manistee Park system that we all have envisioned. We also expect to be presenting an incredible Manistee citywide family-oriented disc golf park proposal to City Council soon during a future work session, a project that has been in the works with DPW for the past few months, and one we're all pretty excited for, and we think you guys will be too. And finally, as a gesture of greater involvement from us, City Council appointed commission, we invite each of you, council members, city employees, and more importantly, the public, to join us virtually for now for our next commission meeting this Thursday night at 5:30 p.m. Information on how to connect via Zoom or by phone is on the Manistee City Government's website. If you can't make it to this Thursday night's meeting, please join us sometime, maybe next month's meeting or the one after that. We wholly welcome your support, your participation, and of course, your valuable input. I thank you all for your time tonight. And once again, happy holidays to each and every one of you from the Manistee Parks Commission. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to make a public comment? If you cannot raise your hand, press *6 to unmute. Hearing none, Mayor, I believe we're done with public comment.
Thank you. Consent agenda. All items marked with an asterisk are on the consent agenda and considered by the city manager to be routine matters. Prior to the approval of the consent agenda, any member of council may have an item from the consent agenda removed and taken up during the regular portion of the meeting. Is there anyone who would like to have a consent agenda removed tonight? The consent agenda items are payroll, invoice, approval of minutes, consideration of ordinance 20-10, amending chapter 1060, garbage and rubbish collection and disposal, consideration of adopting MERS defined benefit plan adoption agreement addendums for each city MERS division, notification regarding next work session. Now, is there any council member that'd like to have anything removed? Seeing none at this time, council could take action to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bachmann,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Mayor Zelinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Sipsick,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, consideration of an annual audit committee report. Council Audit Committee is established by Section 23 of the City Council Guidelines. This section spells out the duties and responsibilities of the committee. As a part of the responsibilities, the Audit Committee prepares a written report on how the committee discharges duties and responsibilities. Chair Beaton, you chaired that, or Linda Beaton, you chaired that committee. Do you have anything addition you'd like to add to that before we make a motion?
Not really. I'm looking forward to Ken's presentation to council. The meeting went very smoothly. There were several questions asked. He took a lot of time to help us understand it, and so did Ed. So between the two of them, I think the audit committee got a pretty good grip on what was going on with the audit. I think it looks pretty good to me. So that's why we sent it to you.
Thank you. At this time, council could take action to accept the annual report of the Council Audit Committee. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Do we want to hear the presentation
Yes. It's next.
before we vote?
I would think so.
Do you want to hear the presentation from Ken Talsma before we vote?
Sure.
That would be my suggestion.
I have no issue with that. Presentation by Ken Talsma and Anderson Tackman on the June 30th audit. Ken, are you out there?
Yep, I'm present. Are you able to hear me?
I can hear
Yes.
you.
All right, very good. So we met with the audit committee, had some in-depth conversations about the audit and what we do, and kind of the results and kind of the financial health of the city. It was, again, we always talk about the opinion, which is kind of the crux of a financial audit, giving the yay or nay on your financial statements and your systems to be able to record all your information and put it in the right categories and classify everything correctly and follow all the different accounting rules and accounting principles and those things. And at the end of that, we give an opinion, which the one you want and the one you got is the unmodified, meaning everything was done as it should be, or something similar way we call it a clean audit opinion or a clean bill of health for the city. So that's, again, unmodified opinion for the city this year. Then also I brought some graphs I'm hoping I could share. I think I need to be enabled, Ed, to share my graphs.
We'll get on that. Heather, can you enable him?
Yep. It should be coming.
All right,
Try it now.
there we go. Let's see. Are you able to see the graphs?
Not yet.
Yeah.
First time doing this, so bear with me.
Oh, let me try this. Yeah, I've got all participating can share. Let's try this.
Looks like it's working.
There you go.
On now?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we've got our usual graphs. I think we've used kind of a similar format in years past. I have an easier way to kind of show the highlights from last year to this year and what's changed. Off the bat, one of the big things was you had a financial audit this year, or a federal single audit, which basically is required if you get more than $750,000 in federal funds. And within that, it can include not only, direct federal money and grants, but also anytime you get loan guarantees, which the USDA funding for the sewer fund qualified for that. I think there was nearly almost $1 million in federal loans for the improvements to the system, which also fell under the single audit rules. So we had to make sure all of that was done in accordance with the federal liability rules and cash management and reporting and all that oversight. And you also get an opinion for that at the end of that audit as well. And that was also unmodified, so we had no issues. The first graphic shows the balance sheet for the entire city, kind of gives you an idea of how your cash, that's unrestricted and restricted, and your investments and all those things kind of stacks up from 20 to compared to 2019. So as far as the balance sheets with the assets, everything pretty consistent. Again, we always mention some of the biggest assets with cities is always the infrastructure or the capital assets. A lot of your equipment, buildings, land, and infrastructure, both from the streets as well as water and sewer, things like the marina too, are a lot of what your assets are involved in. It allow you to provide services to the citizens of the city. Next, we go to some of the liabilities, your payables, accrued interest, other due from governmental units, customer deposits, leases. I think the payables was down from last year. We're at almost at 1.3 million, down to about 930,000. And payables are kind of still running a little bit higher. And the reason for that is because you've got, the sewer projects going on. Your year end is 930. So it kind of, your year end's right in the middle of the busy season as far as construction and all these things. So you're, with these projects going on, your payables runs a bit higher for those projects, as well as just your regular day-to-day amounts owed to vendors. And then we have also the notes payable, bonds. Those are your debt for different equipment and infrastructure and buildings of the city. Your net pension liability, OPEB liability, best employee benefits, inflows all stayed pretty close. Your pension liability got a little bit bigger, but I think you're still in that, a range of like 75% funded. So that's a really good place to be as far as pension liabilities. I think the state's floor.
Wow.
Ken, I think you cut out on your volume.
Ken, can you hear us? Ken, can you hear us? I don't know what he can see on his screen. He might just see his presentation.
Moving right along.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't get his attention. I'm trying to click things, but
Maybe if you disable his screen, his presentation, might get his attention.
I'll try.
Ed, can you call him?
Oh, he might be on the phone with him right now. It looks like he's talking to him.
No volume for him.
No, are you? And now I can't get his screen back.
I see him on the screen.
I can't get his presentation back though. There we go. See if you can get it back up there now. Okay. Ed is talking to him right now, trying to get it taken care of.
Heather, can you hear Ken? He's asking right now.
I
No.
cannot hear him, no.
Okay.
And he is not muted, so.
Okay. Maybe disconnect and dial back in, Ken, and then we'll see if it picks back up. I'm going to hang up on the phone. He's going to disconnect and try to dial back in.
Okay. Okay, let's see. It says connecting to audio. Nope. Ed, can he call in and then we can just.
Yep, I'll have him do that. Hang on for just a second.
Okay. Ed, if he calls in, you will have to admit him now because I can't see him.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Hang on. Well, I just tried to share my screen. Can you see my slides?
I can
Yes.
see your slides, yes. I just can't see when he dials in now. Oh, there he is.
Did you admit him, Heather?
I did, yes.
Okay.
It
Am
popped
I
up on
able
my
to
screen.
speak?
Yes, there you
We
are.
can hear you, Ken.
Oh, thank goodness.
Can
This is the
everybody
roughest.
see the slides?
Yes.
Okay.
Which one are we on, Ed?
You just finished talking about liabilities and the pensions. And so the next slide is the statement of net position.
Okay. Right, the next page is the investment in capital assets, restricted, and the unrestricted. Let's see here. So the unrestricted is what can be used for general operations of the city. Restricted is residual monies left from grants, millages, Act 51 monies for the street funds that have to stay intact for those purposes moving forward. And then the largest piece is your investment in your capital assets, infrastructure, buildings, etc. Revenues is the next slide. I think everything's pretty comparable. I think your taxes, licenses were up. I think business licenses were up about 10 compared to 1 last year. State monies, charges for services, interest rates, pretty close. The interest, I think, wasn't quite as good for the oil and gas fund as last year, but I think it still landed around 919,000. Then you have other as well. Next is the expenditures. We can see the legislative with the city council, pretty comparable. General government, which is treasurer, clerk, elections, a lot of the general operations of the city. Public safety, which is police, fire, I say pretty even. Public works bumped up for a couple of reasons. We had, I think, around $302,000 in federal highway funding money. That was kind of extra this year, and then just overall, the major local streets have had some additional projects and expenses this year. And the other categories, I think, are pretty comparable. Then the water and sewer funds, we have the revenues, so the charges for the system, their interest, their state grants. I think in prior years we had some additional things going with those SAW grants and pilot grants and things, and not quite so much this year. Then we have the expenses, personal, contracted, administration. The last 2 years things are pretty in line. I think we did have a decrease in equipment rental this year though. And then continuing with expenditures, we have the utilities, repair and maintenance, depreciation, miscellaneous, and interest expense on debt. The last graph is the fund balance of the general fund. It went down a little bit this year, from about 1.4 million to almost 1,384,000. And you have still the 10 to 15% of the recommended fund balance that they recommend to have in place in case of unforeseen needs or losses of funding or COVID-19 or anything that might have to deal with. So kind of give you a savings or a cushion.
Ken, can I jump in for just a minute?
You sure can.
So council, our fund balance in 2019 actually was a little bit overstated. There was a prior period adjustment to 2019. So our actual fund balance was almost exactly what it was at the end of the 2020 year. There had been a double counting of some invoices that got invoiced right at the end of the year. So we did have about, it was close to $100,000 prior period adjustment. It just shifted the monies from one year into the other. So our fund balance wasn't as big as it might be in 2019. This reflects what was there before the prior period adjustment. But in actuality, our fund balance only declined by about $300 this year, just to kind of clarify that.
Right. see. Any questions on any of the other graphs?
Any questions, Council?
Nope.
I don't see any, Ken.
All right. I think otherwise I would just say, I think, you know, it's kind of a bit harder year with the federal single audit, some additional work with that. And I guess there's more requirements on you guys to have to undergo that and do all the reporting, but everything went really well. And two, I think, you know, everything's always run pretty well as far as systems and controls, and I think, you know, everybody does a really good job with the day-to-day operations and accounting.
If there are no questions, thank you, Ken, for your presentation. Much appreciated.
All right, thank you. Sorry for the feedback.
It's okay.
Technology is wonderful.
I guess so.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks. Everybody have a good Christmas. We'll see you.
Okay, back to, at this time, Council will take action to accept the annual report of the Council Audit Committee. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I think we had a motion and a second on the table already.
We did.
Yes.
All right, if there's no further discussion, please take the roll.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schmansky,
Yes.
Councilmember Sipsick,
Yes.
Mayor Zelensky,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Councilmember Bachman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Consideration of establishing a 2021 poverty exemption guidelines for new federal income guidelines as approved by the State Tax Commission. The adoption of a resolution establishing poverty exemption guidelines for the exemption of property tax contributions is required in order for the Board of Review to grant poverty exemptions. The homestead of a person who the Board of Review determines by reason of poverty to be unable to contribute to the public charge is eligible exemption in whole or in part from taxation under Public Act 390 of 1994, MCL 20 or 211.7U. The State Tax Commission requires that the City of Manistee adopt a resolution every year and approve an income guidelines adopted by the State Tax Commission. The resolution states we use the federal income guidelines and is substantially the same as last year's resolution. At this time, Council could take action to approve a resolution establishing 2021 poverty exemption guidelines. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion, Bachman.
I'll
second it, Grabowski.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
I have a question. This is probably from Molly. Has this changed? The income levels, have they changed since last year?
Just slightly.
So slightly, a little bit higher income level?
Correct.
Okay. I was just wondering if you knew how much. So
I have a question. How many people last year qualified for the exemption?
I think we have 12 or 13 that get it every year. It doesn't change much. It's the same people.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bachman,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
yes.
Mayor Zelensky,
Yes.
Councilmember Sipsick,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schmansky,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Consideration of a pickup truck purchase. City Council approved a purchase of two 2020 3/4 ton stock pickup trucks at the November 17th, 2020 council meeting. The following morning, the dealership informed us that one of the trucks had been sold. The DPW is now requesting approval to order a 2021 3/4 ton truck from Grono Ford at the Michigan Deals contract price of $34,505. At this time, council could take action to approve the purchase of a 3/4 ton pickup truck from Grono Ford for $34,505. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. Grabowski.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Heather, is somebody talking? I can't.
There's background noise. I think it's a television somewhere.
Okay. If I don't hear any discussion, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bachmann,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Mayor Zielinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Sipsick,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schmansky,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Consideration of entering into a contract with Ostrander Window Siding and Roofing and the Garland Company Incorporated for roofing repairs on several city buildings. The city recently issued capital improvement bonds to fund several capital projects. One of the projects was the re-roofing of the well house, the wastewater treatment plant, the downtown DDA district restroom, the Maple Street Bridge House, the Waterworks building, the fire station, and repairs to the City Hall roof. The contractor component of the project was competitively bid with 3 bids received. Hoekstra Roofing Company, $598,200. Van Dorn Roofing, $494,118. Ostrander, $336,505. The material component of the project will be produced through the Cooperative Purchasing Consortium, OMNIA Partners, contract with the Garland Company in conformity with the council purchasing policy. This contract amount is $117,955. At this time, council could take action to enter into a contract with Ostrander Window Siding and Roofing and the Garland Company Incorporated for roofing repairs on several city buildings and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the agreement. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion.
Did you get everything, Heather?
I have a motion by Szymanski. Who is the second?
Grabowski, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have plenty of questions, but go ahead if somebody wants to jump in.
I'm just curious, what was the budgeted amount that we had for all that roofing projects?
Councilmember Szymanski, the budget was $405,000.
Thank you.
I am just really nervous about approving something when the bids are this far apart. I can't understand why there's $262,000 difference between Ostrander and Hoekstra Roofing Company. I mean, that's just, I feel like something's missing, and I don't want to get trapped into signing a contract where a big piece of it has been missing. So really questioning why this bid is so low in comparison to the others. Something doesn't look right to me.
Councilmember Beaton, I can address that. Our engineer Spicer Group and the representatives from Garland Roofing, when they put together the bid package, they had very specific components for each of the projects that each of the individuals had to bid, as you could see in the bid tabulations. And when the bids came in, we reviewed these, and the differences are in labor costs. All the materials are pretty much on spec because they bid those, as to the amount that was needed. So both Spicer and the gentleman from Garland Company, who do roofing projects all across the country, were very comfortable with the bids. And that's sometimes when you only have 3 bidders, you get a wide spread, especially if one of them happens to be busier. Also, Ostrander Roofing does have somewhat of a connection to Manistee. I think the gentleman that owns the company either grew up here or lived here for a while, and they did the work on the fire station and the Ramsdale Theater earlier and did fine work on that. So I think we're very comfortable with recommending that bidder.
And Ed, if it's okay, I can just add a little bit to that. The bids, when we put these out, especially these larger infrastructure projects, you got to remember some of these companies are coming from, different parts of the state, and they all have different workloads. And so it's not, it's just black and white is a shingle costs this much and it costs so much time to put it in. Quite frankly, these guys that are loaded up on work, they will bid it higher with the thought that potentially they could get it at a higher price. Or they may have a lot more mobilization because they're coming from a lot farther. They have to put people in hotels, and there's a lot of variables. And you're going to see that probably in any of the larger infrastructure projects. I mean, we want them, don't get me wrong, we want them to get them as tight together as we possibly can. But some of these items are very difficult, especially in this COVID world, and things are competitive right now too. So everybody, some of these firms are pretty busy, so they're not too aggressive.
What protects us in signing this contract if, we have another surge in COVID? I hope we don't, but if we did, and their labor costs increases, do we have a cap on that somewhere?
Yeah, they're locked into this contract. It's a pretty difficult thing for them to change their bid amounts. I mean, that's a pretty formal process and a pretty formal contract.
Okay.
Not to say they won't come back and try and ask if there's something extreme, but I think that's one thing that's good about these kind of rigid contracts and a lot of documentation is they are locked in.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schmansky,
Yes.
Councilmember Sipsick,
Yes.
Mayor Zielinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Councilmember Bachmann.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Consideration of entering into an interlocal agreement with Manistee County to designate the Manistee County Equalization Director as the county designated assessor. Manistee County is requesting that the city of Manistee, along with other assessing districts in the county, sign an interlocal agreement that designates Heather Vasquez, Manistee County Equalization Director, to serve as Manistee County designated assessor. This action is required to comply with Public Act 660 of 2018. At this time, council could take action to approve the interlocal agreement and authorize Mayor Zielinski to sign the documents on behalf of the city. Is there a motion?
So moved, Bachmann.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions?
Yeah, I want to know how this changes our relationship with our city assessor.
Is Molly still out there?
It doesn't change your relationship at all. It's just to satisfy Public Act 660. And when I spoke with Molly about it, she said it's just the only time it would come into play is if she made a very exceptional or grievous action, which I don't foresee.
I can add to that as well, Thad, that if Molly was removed, it would only come into play if the city could not locate another qualified assessor, that it would then default to the county. So it's very unlikely that it would ever apply. It's just that the law requires that we have these agreements.
Okay, it's sort of like a contingency plan then.
This is part of the assessor reform that they passed. So we're in good shape.
Okay, just want to make sure. So thanks.
Any further questions or concerns? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bachmann,
Yes.
Councilmember Beaton,
Yes.
Mayor Zielinski,
Yes.
Councilmember Sipsick,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski,
Yes.
Councilmember Grabowski,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Notice, communications, and announcements. Regular part of each council meeting, a report from a cooperating agency, organization, or department. Tonight, we're going to have a presentation from the city manager, Mr. Taylor.
Hopefully, if I can get the technology to work, we'll see. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Try this.
Okay.
You should have it.
Yeah, I thought it. Still nothing?
Not here.
Huh. Well, Heather, any suggestions?
Let's see
Get
here.
on side, I'm on the slideshow. You know, I picked the screen I wanted.
Okay, did you hit share screen?
Yeah.
And I've got it marked that you can share.
Right.
Ed?
Let me try this again.
Okay.
Hit share screen. It's showing up on mine with both screens, but
Try it now.
huh, this is frustrating.
I think Ed has it on his computer. Possibly he might be able to bring it up and share it.
Ed, did you make sure you clicked on the proper screen that you want to share? Sometimes it can be a little confusing.
There we go.
You got it now?
Yeah,
we did. Yeah, I think.
Trial and error. Thanks for bearing with me. So in the manager's department, it's myself. I've been here 5 years, and Kelly has been with the city 5 years, a little over a year with this office. And primarily our responsibilities are efficient day-to-day operations, concentration on council agendas, contract negotiation, citizen communication, strategic planning, and council goals. Some of the highlights, and hopefully everybody received their annual highlights this afternoon. Kelly was out passing them around. Just wanted to direct your attention, if you have them, to the manager's message on the page number 4. And every year, I point out that this is really a great time to reflect on what we've done, and I term it very simply as taking time to look in the rearview mirror, because we've been really busy, as we have been every year since I've been here, and we always too often focus on where we're going and what we need to do, and we don't stop and take an assessment of where we've been. And so these highlights does a real good job of that. And so in the message, I usually try to hit 2 or 3 things that I think are more important than others. And in this one, I think if you're going to talk about 2020, I mean, it starts with COVID pandemic and ends with COVID pandemic. And in the message, I just give my thanks to city staff, business owners, and the community, because everybody was forced to adapt to a new way of life, both professionally and personally. And you know, city facilities were closed, then they were open, now we're closed again. Employees are working remotely. Those that have to come to work have to take very stringent safeguards. But we were well positioned with our continued investment in technology, so it's made it easier for us to conduct remote meetings. And also timing was important, because in this fiscal year we were able to upgrade our phone system, which makes it easier for people to work remotely. They can get their office phones, go right to their cell phones, and so it's a seamless. And then the second thing I noted was the economic development efforts and the partnerships we've established in the community are really paying dividends. I should say the Chamber, as our economic development organization, they're fielding calls from local people regionally throughout the state, and we even get national inquiries about economic development possibilities. Work has started on the Hollander development, 45 units of affordable housing. The former boathouse was purchased by a very well-respected restaurateur with a goal of getting that open by next June. We were continuing to work on the Gateway project. We've had very good and constructive discussions, and that is moving along very well. We are just working with the Lakeshore Motel on putting in a 5-story hotel there. And just recently, there's interest in a housing project on the Amore property, as well as the Jones building. And there's been other economic development efforts, but you know, it's been a long time in coming. I'm really proud of the community partners that we've established, and we're moving forward economically. So that's always good. We've got a lot of construction that's gone on this year and is going to go on into the next year. So just some pages that you should pay attention to, in my opinion: the construction on page 6, governance page 12, economic development page 21, operations page 22, and then as always there's the list of all the officials. So under the budget, we published that as April 7th. We had work sessions and public hearings in April. It was adopted May 6th. It includes almost $6.5 million in our general fund. Again, I think this is the 4th consecutive year that I'm aware of we've balanced the budget without the use of fund balance. So anytime you can do that, that's really great. So, and throughout these last 4 or 5 years, we've been increasing our fund balance. At the same time, not relying on fund balance to balance our budget. We did have a very slight decrease in our fund balance, as Ed noted during the audit report. We've had no millage rate increase, and a 3.5% adjustment to water and sewer costs per our consultant's recommendation. Our construction projects, rural development projects, phase 1 and 2, that's ongoing. It's going to continue into next year. Arthur Street sanitary pump station improvements, First Street beach tennis courts, which has been just a wonderful addition and improvement to our parks. And we have refuse corrals in the DD8 district, and the council has approved new refuse corrals for the First Street and Fifth Avenue beaches. Here's a picture of our tennis courts. They look wonderful. They've been very well received by the community. And what I'm hearing and seeing is the use of that has gone up significantly since they've been improved. Here's a picture. it shows what we've been doing in terms of lining our pipes and manholes. It shows how they work on getting that liner into a manhole. And then the next picture is the finished product. And as council has been told a couple of times, we're already seeing the benefits of the lining of those manholes and mains. In terms of governance, we've got a new blight enforcement strategy. We've implemented the refuse corrals. We continue to have discussions on rail relocations. We held 4 elections this year, 2 during the pandemic, and our clerks did a wonderful job, as well as our election officials, in getting those elections taken care of in the pandemic. And we're right now currently, we've hired 1 new police officer. We've interviewed, and we'll be hiring another one in the very near future. Community development. We worked with the chamber to help support their community initiative to reinvigorate River Street. Our DPW helped out a lot by putting out some barricades so we could have some more outside dining. The council adopted a racial justice, inclusion, and diversity resolution. Very, very proud achievement in getting that adopted. And as kind of an added benefit, the Michigan Municipal League featured that resolution in one of their monthly magazines. So that got us a lot of recognition across the state. In the last 20 years, the city's received almost $1.8 million in local revenue sharing grants. So that's wonderful. We've got a lot of equipment, training, etc., through those that we probably wouldn't have had an opportunity without that. And we issued permits for the first 2 marijuana businesses in Manistee, and 2 of them are open and operational. And it looks like we're going to have probably 2 more that I know of build out in advance of April 1st. Had a number of new businesses open in town. That's always encouraging and a good sign that individuals are taking a chance and feel good about relocating or locating a business in our community. Operations, all our departments did a really good job of quickly adapting to and doing it safely to be able to work during this global pandemic. We had to learn on the fly, and all the departments worked together in terms of securing the proper PPE. It's just been a pleasure to see how adaptable our employee groups are. We updated the phone system, and again, as I mentioned previously, that really came in handy now that we're working remotely. We adopted a 5-year recreation harbor plan and signed an agreement with Safe Built to run the city's rental inspection program. In continuing with operations, completed the move of the recycling center to behind Manistee Catholic Central, changed operation hours at the city hall, and that seems to be working very well when we're open. Hopefully we'll get to open up sometime in the next couple of months. Entered into a 5-year agreement with IT Right for information technology, consulting, and support. And we had some technology updates. We have the Lucidity software for our utility system, and they replaced our main computer system. I asked Kelly to include the picture of these steps. You know, we all know about these big projects we got going, the millions of dollars we're spending on streets and infrastructure and expansion at the sewer plant. I don't know what this cost, but that was the best couple $100 at that we spent as a community. We get a lot of good reviews out of putting in that. So it's not always the big things you do for the community. It's sometimes the small, what people might say are insignificant, that makes a real big difference in how the city's perceived. So those are the points I wanted to go through rather quickly. Do you have any questions?
Also, you have any questions?
If not, I'll try to get out of this screen.
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Taylor. It's nice to always look back at what's happened. Like you say, we get stuck sometimes on what's coming up and not what has been accomplished in the past. Concerns and comments. Citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to comment, excuse me, on municipal services, activities, or areas of city involvement. Citizens in attendance shall be recognized by the mayor for comments limited to 5 minutes. Letters submitted to council will not be read. Heather, do we have any?
I think all of our members of the public have dropped off the meeting. So unless I'm missing somebody, which I don't think I am.
I see a couple yet.
Yes, one is city employee and the other one I believe is the newspaper.
Oh, okay.
So I don't see anybody else.
Would you do officials and staff and move on to council members, please?
I sure will. City manager.
I've already said enough.
Okay. City attorney.
Nothing, Heather, thank you.
Finance director.
Nothing, Heather, thank you.
DPW director.
In anticipation of Councilwoman Martin Pontiac asking, I just spoke with our representative from the engineering firm, and the work that's on US 31 could be completed. Well, the removal of the bad pipe could be completed as early as noon tomorrow. So if the contractor can figure out the logistics of water in order to install the new liner, that might happen as early as tomorrow afternoon and possibly Thursday, but we are on track to, if this process goes according to plan, they could be out of that highway by the end of the week.
Thank you, Jeff.
Police chief.
I don't have anything, Heather, thank you.
Fire chief.
Nothing, Heather, thank you.
City engineer.
Nothing, Heather, thank you.
City assessor.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Bachman.
I do, Heather. I just want to say thanks to the city manager for his presentation and to the manager and staff for a great year in the middle of a pandemic and all the diversity. You all did a phenomenal job of stepping up and taking care of it. And there's still a huge amount of things happening when it would have been easy to go on hold. So my confidence to the entire group. Thank you. And Happy New Christmas. Merry Christmas. That's it. Merry Christmas.
Councilmember Beaton.
I have a couple things people have called me about that they wanted me to ask questions on. Somebody did call and ask me what the cost of the new cold storage facility is as compared to the lot that we sold that it used to be on, which was our former recycling center. I didn't know how to get to those numbers. So they just wanted, I guess they just really bottom line, they want to know that we made money, we're not losing money over there building the new one.
The cost to relocate that cold storage was part of the purchase price. And so we didn't lose any money on it. We were able to replicate it using the funds from that sale. And also included in the sale price was the recommended value of the property per the assessor.
Okay, well, they probably want me to find that number. So
well, I think the number was about 27,000, John?
Yeah, that's correct. So we estimated to move that facility would be about 27,000. That was added to the land sale price, and that was the purchase agreement. So it was the land value plus the cost of the city to move its cold storage, and we've completed that move and we hit that budget number.
Okay.
So there's no cost to the community.
Okay. Another suggestion came from somebody else who, you know, when you live on the north side, you always think that you have more deer than the south side. And I can attest to the fact that we have a lot of deer over here, but they always ask me why we're not doing a call over on the north side. And they went further into their discussion with me and suggested that we raise our fines significantly for feeding the deer to help offset the cost of a call in the future. So I don't know what the fine is, and I'm not even sure that anybody's actually been given a ticket and actually fined for feeding the deer, but there are a number of people who do feed the deer in the city. So I'm just passing that along as a suggestion. And the last one's kind of a strange one. Somebody wants to know you know what a driveway marker is. It's those little those poles that are orange and they're flexible. They want to know how close to the edge of the road they can set them. And suggested that we have an ordinance about it. And although I tried to talk to them that it might be different depending on what your lot size is and what the city easement is, etc. They just wanted me to suggest it. So, or find out if there's a way that we can determine how far back from the edge of the road those need to be. So that's a DPW question, obviously. So.
We went through a process this summer where there were a number of actual steel fence posts that were placed right along the edge of the road. And the planning and zoning department determined that per the ordinance, those qualified as components to a fence. So we sent out letters to all of those people and requested that they be removed. We gave them a deadline to do that. And we offered to assist them if they needed help. And we actually helped a couple property owners. So there's a couple different things about that. Number one, the snowplow drivers actually don't mind those being there because it shows them exactly where the road is, the road edge is when snow's being plowed. But the complaints that came in were from people that were backing out of their driveways and that, you know, didn't want to damage their vehicles by backing into those. So the temporary markers, we'll have to confirm with the planning and zoning to see if those can be put in on a temporary basis. But from the public works perspective, we don't have an issue with those if they're put, you know, a foot off the edge of the road or right on the edge of the roadway. But they do create some issues for the neighbors sometimes.
So there's no set rule on it, probably.
I'll confirm that, but I think per the ordinance, the planning and zoning department classified those as components to a fence, which they're not allowed in the right of way. So they would have to be placed on the lot line.
That's what I was kind of getting at the beginning. I was trying to go through that there could be a lot line could be, you know, a lot further or a lot closer to the edge of the road. They're not all uniform throughout the city.
That's correct. Most right-of-ways are 66 feet. So you're 33 feet from the center line. However, especially on the north side, there are a lot of streets that are, the right-of-ways are 40 foot and 45 feet. So I think if you contacted the planning and zoning department, they could probably look at the plat maps and be able to tell how big the right-of-way is and give them approximate dimensions from the center line to their property lines.
I think I'll send them that way then. Okay, thanks. I didn't mean to take up so much time, but those are my questions. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a safe and happy New Year as well.
Councilmember Sipsick.
I actually have a couple. Don't get excited, everybody. I'm not bringing up blight this time. I dug a little bit deeper into the sign ordinance, and I think that we need to bring that up again sooner than later. In talking to Mike, he said it was a very time-consuming thing. So if we can bring that up any sooner. And then what Councilmember Bachman brought up last week about the police chief and the fire chief not having the proper equipment in their vehicles. I think we need to bring that up sooner too. I don't know why we would wait on that to get them what they need. So that's it. And no blight comments for me.
Councilmember Grabowski.
Yes, for Jeff, I was wondering, Jeff, do you know any reason why people are off of Cypress Street on 9th, why people are dumping wood in a lot of dirt over that hill? There's like a hill if you get into that woods there, and they're dumping all the junk there. I was walking by the other day.
I don't know specifically, but I do know that Mr. Risden is the property owner, and I know that he split that into 4 lots quite some time ago. And he's had recent conversations with my office to confirm that the utility, the tap fees that he paid when he extended the water and sewer laterals were still valid when those lots sold. So the only thing I can speculate is that they may be preparing the property for future sales or something.
Okay, because I know that drops down quite a bit. Right
Yeah.
Behind Huey O'Hagan down below, and it really drops down. I don't know how they build a house. Okay, thanks, Jeff. Hey, for the chief of police, have we ever given any tickets for the deer, feeding the deer, and what does it cost?
I don't know that we have since I've been chief. That's something I could look into if we have in years past. It hasn't happened very often, I can tell you that. And I can look into it and get you an answer as far as what the fine is. I could circle back with you on that.
Okay, it didn't happen when I was chief either. So you check with Kozel.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Martin Pontiac.
Thanks, Jeff, for the update. I was going to ask, so I get asked every day about it. So that's good news. That's it.
Mayor Pro Tem Szymanski.
Just one question is, I thought that we were going to allow for takeout parking spaces on River Street. Has anything followed up with that? I think that was something that the chamber was going to work with the police department on getting organized. We were going to give them.
I'm sorry, sir. The conversations I've had with Mark Miller is that just to go by what the council has ruled before, meaning that the businesses can have 2 parking spaces. However, they can't commandeer those, so they can't isolate those, and we can't enforce no parking in those areas. But they certainly can sign them and utilize them for drive up.
Okay, so it'd be up to them to sign them for pickup and takeout only, but it would be, but no enforcement would be possible against it. Just a courtesy.
Yes, I don't think we can enforce it. In other words, if someone parked there for retail, I don't think we could tow it or ticket that vehicle.
Right.
But that's the conversations I've had probably a month ago with Mr. Miller.
Okay, but for courtesy, they could certainly put the signs up, and most people, I'm assuming, would see that as being appropriate.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Again, and then again, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. Again, I am so proud of the city of Manistee for the resiliency that they have shown our staff as well as our community members over the past year. With so many things have changed and so many cancellations, so many different programs and funds and events that have been affected. But overall, we've stuck it out and we're doing well and looking forward to a great 2021.
Mayor Zielinski.
Thank you, Heather. Just an update on revenue sharing. The city of Manistee received grants for the fire and police and the youth project, the Armory building, they received their money. So the city received grants for all of those projects that they requested. The meeting was last night. I also want to thank the city. I share Mr. Szymanski's comments. The city, it's amazing how much we've accomplished in the last year. Through all of the pandemic, everybody working together. There's so many people that are involved in making this happen. A big thank you to everyone who took part. All the positivity is great. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you in 2021. Bye. That's it.
Can we get a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
We got a motion.
Second.
We're adjourned.